We at Points Consulting get a lot of questions like, what is it you actually do there? This has come up a lot more recently as we've moved into our office on the corner of A and Line Street in Moscow, Idaho. When my kids are asked what their dad does for a living, they say insulting, which I hope is not the same thing as our clients say. Truthfully, we recognize that what we do is hard to understand because, well, you probably don't know anybody else who does it.
Why don't you explain this to me like I'm 5?
So let's first start with what we don't do. We can't help you buy a house. We can't help you pick winning stocks. We do not file taxes. Honestly, I can barely do that for myself. We are not training operatives to infiltrate tyrannical foreign governments. Okay, that last one's only come up a few times, but I thought it was pretty fun. What we do is consulting. But, you say, that still doesn't answer the question. What is it you actually do? In our day-to-day language, we tell our clients that we facilitate change by working with organizations on topics like feasibility studies, market assessments, economic impact studies, and financial forecasting. But that's a lot of consultancy words, so let's break that down in a bit simpler terms. When the big news hits your community, usually consultants like us have been working behind the scenes for months or even years to help that happen. Most of us would find out about the big news in our town through a viral Facebook post or a passing comment from a friend, typically a few weeks or months before the construction begins. But at Points Consulting, we've been working with that city or that developer or that nonprofit for the past 2 years to help them understand if that project makes economic sense. In other words, the supply and demand line up in a way that success favors them. If that is the case, there are still sometimes various landmines in the process that need to be navigated, or potentially changes to a city's comprehensive plan or zoning code. As you can imagine, these things do not happen quickly.
What I hear when I'm being yelled at is people caring loudly at me.
In other words, we do all the stuff that most people would consider very boring before the big thing happens. Except that we don't think it's boring. We think it's endlessly fascinating. It's like getting paid to get a PhD over and over again. As an aside, it's also not endless drudgery of staring at spreadsheets all day. We spend a lot of time interacting with community leaders and rank and file citizens. For example, in our recent study in Alaska, we've interviewed 25 plus people on their perceptions of housing needs. In another study in Oklahoma, we collected over 4,100 responses to our community housing survey. In other words, we talk to a lot of people while we look at a lot of data. Another thing that is hard for people to grasp is that most of our clients are not located within 100 miles of our zip code. So to answer that question, while at the same time sending a final shout out and thank you to our 2023 clients, here's a list of all the entities we've worked with in the course of the year. Thank you for trusting us to consult you. So for all those classmates, parents, next door neighbors, employees, roommates, high school classmates, and all the other people who've ever seen our logo on the side of the road or on the internet, this one's for you.